Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And now that a bit of time has settled on the symbiote update, but we still don't see the horizon on potentially null tier 4 and others, I thought it was a good time to take stock of the tier list and do a little refresh here, because we've had more time now with zombie survival as well, the new game mode. We've also had new rewards added to that game mode. I do want to do like a renewed breakdown on it, because it's more important now than ever to do that game mode, because of the eternal flame that you can get and the gold that you can get, in addition to all of the existing rewards, which you know, the tokens you can convert it to tier 4 materials, Uru, Odin's blessings, etc. And so I wanted to do that here with the characters that we have gotten upgraded and tier 4'd and uniformed up since the update. And we've also had a bit more time, not only with the symbiote stuff from last week, but also with the zombie stuff, right? Captain America zombie, Doctor Strange zombie, and Weapon Hex. So to start things off, I don't really think Doctor Strange needs to go anywhere. He just confirmed, you know, with more and more testing, that he is absolutely the #1 blast character in this game, for at least right now, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about that. Captain America also does really well in things like Otherworld Battle, when you have enough of the metas, disabled, debuffed, whatever you want to call it. And with the recent addition of Venom here, not necessarily taking over for Dr. Octopus, but providing, again, another vector of competition, you could argue, I know that very, very high level ABX, ABL players still use Dr. Octopus, but I would say his time has kind of come outside of that, and I would actually put Captain America up there just for his continued overall value. I may be overvaluing Captain America a little bit here, but he does work very, very well when paired with Weapon Hex and stuff like Otherworld Battle and Alliance Conquest. He's able to really punch up, whereas Dr. Octopus is really just hanging on to that one piece of content that he does well, if you have an absolute max build, if you practice your butt off, you know, with his rotation, which I feel like is a niche thing, right? Is a niche thing rather than being something that a lot of players can adopt and can be, you know, widely spread as the meta. Outside of that, haven't seen too much else that jumps out at me that, you know, would warrant a character moving up a lot. Thor and Jean Grey and Ghost Rider and Doctor Strange are all staples of the new game mode, Zombie Survival, where depending on the bans thus far, and you put Luna Snow there as well, depending on the bans thus far, all of those characters perform quite well. Rogue performs pretty well in that game mode too. So you can consider all of those characters. If you've been struggling with zombie survival, try using one of them and seeing you know, what comes of it. Obviously, depending on the week, depending on what skills are banned, and what, you know, skills that character you know, hits best with versus not so well with. For example, Doctor Strange doesn't really care if the 6 is banned or the 7 is banned, because his tier 3 skill and his tier 4 skill don't really do much damage, right? Most of his damage, the vast majority of his damage, comes from 5, 3, and 4. But moving back into the zombie theme here, we got Weapon Hex and we got Abomination. Abomination is still here, just above me. He's not moving anywhere. Abomination was very clearly billed as a support character. It's a seasonal support, which is annoying, but for sure, he's still just a support character. So yeah, he's just a support character. That's what he does. He's certainly better than Beast and Groot. I would say he's better for Hulk than Sif is. So keep that in mind. But I don't think he's better overall for combat types than Sif, obviously, because Sif applies to, I think, all allies, and her leadership applies to combats, whereas he just basically only applies to Gamma allies, which right now is only the Hulk and I guess himself. But whatever, you're not going to use him as a standalone damage dealer. And then Weapon Hex, she got a tier 4, which, although she definitely can utilize, I don't think she necessarily needs for certain bits of content. Obviously, it depends on what you're going to use her for, but she combines high burst damage with iframe ignore, and just a plethora of buffs for zombies, right? The immortality type effect with death throws. You have the debuff cleanse, and then you have the increased damage as well. So pretty much from top to bottom, she is the best support for zombie characters in the game. Obviously, there's not a lot of zombie characters in the game right now, but that is always that can always change, right? So her value representative overall for zombies is very, very high, although it is a very, very small niche. That being said, I don't know if I would put her like in the high meta category in terms of like her impact on these zombie teams. It cannot be overstated, right? And she's not bad on her own. She certainly has burst damage potential, and you know, she can take down some metas at times with the right build. But really, I think it's what she brings to the table for the zombies in both PvP and PvE that really make her shine. So I kind of want to put her there at the top of low meta. I mean, being right around Magneto, Sue Storm, and Madeline Pryor is not bad by any means. We may need to shake things up here in the blast category, considering some of these characters are getting a little stale, a little, you know. But for the time being, because I like to underestimate characters a little bit at first, and then maybe slowly allow their value to build up, rather than jumping to a conclusion about a character, being all in, super hype, and then maybe they don't fulfill that hype, and people sort of feel bad about that. We also had an Apocalypse buff. So Apocalypse got buffed. He got some additional, like I think he got penetration on his second skill, and they moved around his heal or something like that. Overall, as you can see from the description that I gave you, I don't think it really affected his value very much. Before this buff, we had him around Mr. Fantastic, Rachel Summers level, or Hope Summers level, excuse me. Again, it really depends what content you value. If you value PvP content, you could probably put him a little bit higher. If you don't value PvP content, he probably deserves exactly where he is, frankly. But yeah, again, kind of like Captain America, but I think with a bit less, not necessarily less flexibility. I think a lot of people forget. I'm going to put a support tag here for him because even I forgot, as you can see from his lack of tags. Apocalypse has debuff cleanse for mutants. So he's actually a support character with revive, with iframe ignore, penetration, and sometimes good damage. I think his damage struggles a little bit, and I think it was maybe weighted too much towards him being a support. But that being said, I still think he has value. It's just a bit more niche, and frankly, a lot of characters these days, that's how it feels, that they have good value, but it is still a little bit niche. But I do appreciate that they went ahead and buffed him. And again, you can sort of flip-flop. He's definitely useful. You could almost call him low meta. I think most players these days, even with the buff to symbiotes, most players in Otherworld Battle these weeks are choosing Apocalypse over Carnage. So you can use that as your barometer. You could probably bump Carnage down to Mr. Fantastic level on the basis of that. I wouldn't bump Apocalypse up, just to be clear about that. But yeah, maybe that makes more sense. It doesn't necessarily make Apocalypse better. It just narrows the list here. Honestly, now that I'm looking at it, Namor as well kind of needs to go, but that's going to be a discussion for another time, because it seems like some of these characters, yeah, they need we need a bit of a reshuffle, a reset on some of these characters. And then we got the symbiote update. So we got a new uniform for Spider-Man, turning him into a symbiote. We got a new uniform for Venom, so you can finally earn that easy to play tag. And the support tag, it's like it was crit damage. I'm just gonna get rid of that. It's fine. But I think Venom, I don't actually think he needs his tier 4. Funny enough, Venom has very, very few tags. Although he's useful, and he has, like, he's easier to play now than ever. He has better stats and better buffs, and he's got V-pad and stuff like that. Despite all that, it's so funny. He just has one tag. It's kind of like Luna. Very, very good character. Not like, you don't need a lot of tags to be a good character. Most characters have multiple tags, but yeah, it doesn't always work out that way. And then Spider-Man, I would say Spider-Man, upon further consideration, needs his tier 4. I would say he does need his tier 4. I wasn't impressed enough with his performance at level 80, but in the past I couldn't make this commitment. I didn't have enough evidence, frankly, and I didn't have first-hand experience. But now, having first-hand experience, seeing how much bigger that jump is for him, especially defensively at tier 4, you do need the artifact, keep in mind, to really synergize with the dodge for Spider-Man. But it's interesting how, for some people, I think his value has shifted being a symbiote. I think for other people it hasn't, and I think that's kind of funny. I would still put him in low meta, question mark. I think here's what we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna use this opportunity to move Gwenpool up, and then we're gonna put Spider-Man here. Another thing I'm considering toying with before we get to the ranking on Venom, because Spider-Man frankly didn't change at all. Like, his skills don't really change, his playstyle doesn't really change. It's just the symbiote tag that's changed for Spider-Man, which is a bit disappointing for sure. I can understand that, but that's why there isn't sort of more to talk about with him. But before we get to Venom, I did want to mention that the introduction of team-up collections for new characters, like characters that I've never seen one before, like in this case, and characters who were good, frankly, like Miles Morales with the new symbiote tags, team-up collection. I think that these should have an impact, because now Miles was already really good, and now he's going to be just even stronger, right? He's just going to hit that much harder, getting access to an additional 2, 3, 5% pierce, 10% pierce if you're a Giga Whale. So I'm interested to hear from you guys what you think. But yeah, I did want to bring that up because it matters. It's going to matter for Null, of course, when he gets his situation. Obviously, it matters a little bit for Silver Surfer as well. He got a bunch of stats, bunch of buffs, and then also Miles Morales and these other guys here. Maybe even Carnage, who I just moved down, funny enough, right? So, yeah, last but not least, we got Venom. He got a new uniform. He's a lot easier to play now, and I would say he probably makes a case for himself in high meta. Normally, if it was just easier to play, like if he was just easier to play, and that was it, and he did a bit more damage, I would say that that's not really enough to get him where he needs to go. But giving him the Weapon Master tag, giving him access to a lot more World Boss Legend stages, increases, I think, his value a lot. And so because of that, and because you can now pair him with Agent Venom for tier 4 only world bosses, and both of those feature speed types, I think it's kind of difficult to ignore his value and how strong he is. And I think, I might be overestimating him a little bit here. I think like Gladiator has certain meta value ahead of Venom for like specific content, like ABX if you're maxed out and you're using Hope to cancel, etc. Or if you just really love playing super difficult characters like a Gladiator. And well, I mean, Dr. Octopus is a lot more difficult than Gladiator, but I think ease of play is something that a lot of people don't take into consideration that I actually do. And again, it's just a personal opinion. You don't have to rate the characters this way, but it may explain why there's such a discrepancy between your list and mine. So yeah, that basically wraps it up here. We have Null kind of waiting in the wings to dethrone maybe some characters from PvP or do something crazy. We're sort of hoping for something crazy. We're hoping to see some big shifts, some big movements for Black Friday. But maybe it's time for me behind the scenes to flush out the old metas of characters like Mystique and who was it? Namor, and reshuffle this list so that it actually makes a lot more sense. I mean, it makes sense, but so that it's, even more accurate than before. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the tier list. Thank you so much for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.